we're proposing an English language arts pre-K coordinator. So you've heard me talk a number of times at the podium and elsewhere about our great Jen Fessenden, who is our pre-K-12 mathematics coordinator. This would be a tandem position to the position that currently Jen Fessenden is in. What we see in our data over time is we're seeing not a large decline, but a general decline, maybe a point a year in our reading, in our writing, and also in our language arts programs. And if you look at it from a state perspective, we had a presentation at VSBA this last year by James Lane. Dr. Lane is our state superintendent, and he showed that reading across the Commonwealth is beginning to decline at a much more precipitous rate than we are here in the City of Falls Church. But it's enough to give me pause and to think about what do we need to do to make sure that all of our teachers and our staff are prepared to support the students across the system in reading, language arts, and writing. So we believe that bringing somebody in that can work directly with teachers, talk about how to differentiate instruction, how to scaffold instruction, how to teach reading in combination of phonics and the like will really be helpful to the system. So we are proposing an English language arts pre-K-12 coordinator that would be system-wide, would work with our elementary, our middle, and our high school teachers around those areas of emphasis. The third is a social worker. We are proposing a 1.0 social worker. You may recall we proposed a psychologist in a previous budget, and so slowly but surely we're making gains on the work around making sure that our students have healthy climates and healthy environments to work in and feel like they have a place to go. But this particular piece is helpful because it supports families as well. It's a more holistic approach to supporting the nature and needs of the students that we have in the system. So currently we have 2 part-time social workers, so we would anticipate that those 2 part-time employees would become full-time. However, that's something we anticipate. It might not be. It might be a whole nother person and 2 part-time people, but I just want to make sure that the board knows that the reason that we're requesting this additional social worker is to really meet some of the social emotional needs that we have across the system. And it gets to that caring community and culture that we speak to quite often. The next is some contract length adjustments and some revisions of some positions. So a couple examples that we really feel like we need to take care of to make the system right. And the first is, for example, Marie Baruti, our director of the preschool, currently is an 11-month employee, and she really needs to be a 12-month employee. And the reason she needs to be a 12-month employee is because we do extended school year programs at Jessie Thackeray, and she needs to be there for that and working with those students. Another employee who is a little misaligned is a middle school person who is running our Lighthouse program. He's a 10-month employee. Every summer we pay him hourly money to do an 11-month contract, and we just need to make his contract 11 months. So there are a few one-offs like that that we just need to figure out and right size, if you will, to make the system whole. The next thing, and we believe that that will really help us close gaps too, because they're going to be here in the summer working on professional development, working collaboratively to bring teachers and teams in and working with families. The next is the Jessie Thackeray office clinic support. Currently we have a part-time person in that position, and we would really like that person to be full-time, to at least be there the whole day, because when that person leaves, Marie Baruti, who is the director of the preschool, ends up doing a lot of clerical tasks, routine clinic-type tasks, and quite frankly, I'm hopeful that she can be in classroom supervising instruction, and we know that that not only will support closing gaps, but also help us with our caring community and culture. And then the last is, with respect to caring community and culture, also is around custodial support. Nobody wants to work or learn in an environment that feels unfriendly and because of the physical area. We are adding 100,000 square feet to our new high school that will open in December. That requires 5 new custodial staff to take care of that building. This budget is representing 3 additional custodian positions, and we think that over the course of the next year we'll be able to manage and perhaps get the other 2 positions in next year's budget because we won't open until December. But anyway, what you see here is the custodial support for the new high school. So those are the new expansion ideas that we really believe will help us achieve our goals, become investments in our future, and support those three big ideas of IB, caring community and culture, and closing gaps. So some of the reductions that we are taking, and again, these reductions are not at the cost of anyone. We will not be losing any employees as a consequence of these reductions. The first is salary lapse. This is savings that we achieve through people who are experienced that leave, and if we hire someone who is new, there is an offset between the amount that we were paying the more veteran person and the new person. Additionally, we have some teachers who might leave for part of the year, and it may take us a month or two to fill that position. That position then is filled through or is identified as a place for salary lapse. So we are looking at increasing our salary lapse by $59,000. So that's an additional amount of money that we're able to offset and help our budget balance. We're also looking at some other employee benefits. We are seeing within the retiree health care account a reduction of about $27,000. Our actuarial liability is coming down in that account, and we're very happy about that. The other savings that we're seeing with respect to retirees is we have had that transitional retiree program that you became familiar with, I think, last year. That was started in 2002, 2003 for people who are a minimum age of 45 and 5 years of satisfactory service. By July of 2002, had an opportunity to do some early retirement and get some pay. We're seeing fewer and fewer people that are part of that program, so the cost of the program is coming down by $44,000. And then the last reduction is about $31,000 projected decrease in FICA. There are a couple of things in here that I think are interesting points that I pointed out to a team of people yesterday that may be worthy of just sort of thinking about with respect to how we spend our money, because I think it goes to our genuine need for the positions that I just shared with respect to building the capacity in the people that we have. The first is that our step increase last year cost us about $1.3 million. This year, our step increase is going to cost us about $960,000. That's a decreased amount because the age of the, or not the age, but the experience of the employees that we have in the system has come down. So we don't have as many experienced employees as we've had in the past, so we're seeing the cost of that step being less than we anticipated. The other is this reduction in FICA speaks to that as well. We're seeing a reduction in FICA because we don't have as many salary-sensitive benefits. So the importance of professional development for us, I think, is something that we need to keep on our radar and pay attention to as we look at our horizon here in the City of Falls Church. We have a number of things that we are looking forward to potentially funding with one-time money if we receive additional allocation. Some of the things that we are looking at paying for out of one-time money are custodial support for George Mason High School. That really is a supply line more than it is people. So we're looking at additional supplies of about $21,000 out of one-time money. We have applied for 4 electric buses through the Dominion Electric process. We anticipate hearing as early as tomorrow what the outcome of that's going to be, but if we do receive those buses, we would be on the hook for $474,000. If we don't get those buses, we still will have a need for some replacement buses, so it's a good placeholder for us just in case we need some new buses. We are looking at facilities improvements at Henderson Middle School to the tune of about $200,000, and that would be to upgrade the front of the building to make a secure vestibule. Right now we have a closed and enclosed vestibule, but it would update that, bring the security person out into the vestibule, scan people there, and the like. And then the last is about a $3,000 one-time request that we would utilize for instructional supplies at Jesse Thackeray Preschool. So one of the things I hope you've seen in this budget is some attention to Thackeray. I think in the past few budgets, Thackeray has not gotten necessarily everything that they've needed, and so in the budget tonight and the budget presentation that we've done, we would like to recognize some of the needs of JTP a little differently than they have been in the past, and I think that that's a real testament to the leadership of Marie Baruti, who's there serving in a role as an administrator and really identifying what some of those needs are with the staff. In every budget, there are unfunded needs and needs and wants. And so what you'll see here is an alphabetized list. These are not in any kind of rank order of the things that did not get included in the budget. One of the things that's good to know, I think, for the school board is when we took all of the requests that we got from the schools, from the principals, from committees and the like, and put them into a pot and ran a spreadsheet on them, we had about $2 million in additional requests. Knowing that we had less than that to work with, we had to make some hard decisions. And through a good team process we went through, we looked at how they align to the three big goals, and we were left with those things that landed above the line. And right now, these are the things that fall below the line. If some more money were to come in through a shared revenue process in the future with the general government, we would come back to this list and we would work with our staff and our principals to prioritize these items that fell below the line and begin to pick those off as we could with the additional revenue. This is a cost per pupil slide shown in a slightly different way than it has in the past. And this shows, first, the top line is the Falls Church City cost per pupil over time. The bottom line is the CPI as adjusted in Falls Church City. And one of the things you'll see here is that there is almost a one-to-one correlation. So when we think about the school's budget as it relates to spending and inflation and the like across the rest of the city, it tracks almost identically to what's happening. So we are and continue to be, I think, within the metes and bounds of what an appropriate budget is, as well as continue to be extraordinarily effective and really efficient with the resources we have and maintaining those low class sizes. So one of the things that I always try to point out is that while our proposed cost per pupil, or our cost per pupil last year was $19,482, and our proposed cost per pupil next year will be just over $20,000, that number would come down in an extraordinary way if we staffed our schools differently than we do. I think everybody here understands that we staff our elementary schools 22 and 24 to 1, and our secondaries the same way. Most everybody else on this list is staffing their secondary schools at between 28 and 30 to 1. If we went to that ratio, our cost per pupil would go down in a way that would drop us probably to the middle of the pack. I don't recommend that. I think one of the things that we have in the City of Falls Church is we have really nice relationships with our students and our families, but it is an explanation for why our cost per pupil, comparative to other school systems, is relatively high. This is the summary budget. So on the left-hand side, again, you'll see the revenues. We've got state, federal, and local, which represent $54,594,282. On the right-hand side, you'll see the proposed budget expenditures. Here we have our STEP, our cost of living adjustment, the employer share of the health care increase, the Virginia retirement system, both the group life insurance and the retiree costs. And then we have the investments in our goals and our future around the three big ideas: the IB/MYP coordinator, English language arts coordinator, social worker, contract length adjustments, Jesse Thackeray clinic and office support, custodial support, and then some reductions in realignments. And you'll note this year, those two numbers match, $54,594,282. And so we are completely balanced for the 2021 school year. Here's a budget calendar that we wanted to make sure that everybody has here, and the community does as well. Scrolling down to about the middle here, we're on January 14th. We've got a proposed budget presented tonight. Our first budget work session will be next Tuesday, and that's an opportunity for all of you to ask a lot of questions about the budget. From there, we will move into CIP and Planning Commission meetings, the city manager's budget presentation, and the evening that Chair Anderson will be presenting his budget is on March 9th. You will adopt the advertised budget on February 18th, and that's the budget then ultimately that will move over on March 9th to the city manager and the city council. And then on April 27th, the city council will make an adoption of their budget ordinance that would include the school transfer. And then we'll come back on May 5th, and any adjustments that need to be made to the budget, for example, if there's more revenue that fell out, and how we would like to spend that going forward, that decision would be made together on May 5th. So just a little bit more information that I want to share with the board and with the community. All of our school board budget questions, we would respectfully request that those be submitted directly to me.